The Louds were in Vanzilla, driving down the streets of Royal Woods. They were on their way to a farmhouse that Lynn Sr. bought with all the money from the lottery that he won a few days ago. Are we there yet? Lana asked. Your turn, Lynn, Rita said to her husband to answer Lana's question. Not yet, Lana, but we'll get there, Lynn Sr. answered. So what's this whole point of going to this stupid farmhouse? Lola scoffed a question. Well, Lola, I won the lottery and I got to buy the farmhouse, and we're spending 2 weeks there. It'll be fun, Lynn Sr. said. The other Loud siblings were minding their own business and being silly as they usually are. Within a few minutes, the Louds reached to the huge farmhouse with a barn. Lynn Sr. pulled Vanzilla up in the driveway to the farmhouse and parked when they got to the garage. Then everyone got out of Vanzilla and brought their bags inside. Once the unloading was finished, the Louds got to look around the farmhouse, and it was really huge. There were a lot of bedrooms, and even Lincoln had his own bedroom, while his sisters had to share a room, 2 sisters in each room, as the parents had a bedroom to themselves. This house is like ours, Luna said. And there are 3 bathrooms, and one in the basement, one in the where the bedrooms are, and one near the front hallway, Lisa added. That's a relief, Luann said as she laughed at her pun. Why don't we explore this barn? Not far from here. Dad says there's animals inside, Lenny suggested. Lincoln and his sisters ran out of the house and headed towards the barn next door to the house. Upon entering the barn, they can now see hay and straw inside with the hay bales and tools. There's animals here, Lana said, seeing the animals in their pens. It was a very large barn, so there were a lot of animals. There's cows and sheep in these pens with pigs, Lincoln said. Guys, look, Dad says there's a couple of horses inside, Lori said, as everyone looked at the animals before heading off to where the horses were at. What's that horse called? Lola asked, seeing a Welsh pony. It's a Welsh pony, Lola. There's 3 in here for Lisa, Lana, and you, Lynn Jr. said. That's a big horse in this stall, Lucy stated, as she headed towards another stall with a large horse. That is called a Belgian draft, Luna said. In this book I got from the bookstore last week, it says all about the different breeds of horses. There's a Clydesdale in the stall beside it, Luann said. Yeah, and I wonder if it's Clyde McBride, Mr. Coconuts chirped. Then Luann laughed at her dummy's pun. No, it's not him, Mr. Coconuts, but you're close, Luann chuckled. You guys, there's a horse in here, and it's bigger on the sides than size, Lenny said. Over a few stalls from them, the rest of the Louds headed over to Lenny's direction. They looked around the stall door window, and there was a horse eating hay, and her sides were indeed more round. That's a female horse, Lenny, Lisa said, seeing the sides on the mare's barrel. It appears to be a mare, which is another word for female horse, and judging by the sides of being bigger around her stomach, I could see that she's expecting a foal. You mean she's pregnant? Lola asked. Yep, and she's gonna have a baby, Lisa replied. She sure looks bigger than any other horse. She eats like one. Ha ha ha! Luann cracked at her pun. Dad did say one of the horses is having a baby, so this must be the one he's talking about, Lori said. So, gang, how do you like the farm so far? Lynn Sr. asked as he and Rita headed inside the barn. It's great, Dad. The animals here are amazing, Lana replied. Dad, is that horse in the stall is pregnant? Lori asked Lynn Sr. That's correct, Lori. Her name is Elsa. She's a rescue horse. After her foal is born, we'll start training it into doing riding lessons, Lynn Sr. said. When she gets older. And she is a quarter horse, and she is due any time now. Can we stay at the farmhouse until the foal is born? Lynn Jr. asked. Please, Daddy, pretty please, Lola added. Soon everyone was overjoyed at the fact that a new foal was going to be born in the Loud family farm. As soon as Lynn Sr. heard enough pleases from his children, he and Rita gave in. Of course we can stay, kids. We also have neighbors who will help us around the farm animals, Rita said. And a vet will be here to check on Elsa with her unborn foal as she is approaching her due date, Lynn Sr. said. Say, kids, would any of you kids like to do a riding lesson? Just as Lynn Sr. said that, a woman in her late 20s showed up. She was on the coach of the farmhouse that the Louds had bought. Hi, I'm Martha Evans, and you must be Lori, Lenny, Luna, Luann, Lynn Jr., Lincoln, Lucy, Lola, Lana, Lisa, and Lily, Martha said. Yep, that's right, where we are, Lori replied. Horsey baby, Lily asked Rita, pointing at Elsa. Yes, Lily, that horse is having a baby, like I had all of you guys, Rita replied. Let me assign you all to your horses and we'll figure out your riding levels and get to it, Martha said. As Martha took care of Lynn Sr. and Rita's children, Lily was with the parents near where the sheep and pigs are, working around the farm. Martha is such an awesome worker, Lynn. I'm glad we won the lottery, Rita said as she and Lynn Sr. started to feed the sheep and pigs. Yep, and this farm life is fantastic, Lynn Sr. replied. Which reminds me, I have to call the vet to check on Elsa. Lynn Sr. got out his cell phone to call the vet. Meanwhile, in the indoor arena, Martha was coaching Lisa, Lola, Lana, Lynn Jr., Lucy, and Lincoln on their horses. Luann with Lenny, Lori, and Luna were sweeping the stables. As they were doing their jobs, Lori could hear shuffling coming from the storage room. She had stopped and wondered on who was inside the storage room. Lenny, along with Luna and Luann, soon took notice of Lori. Confused as what they were looking at, they all stared at the storage room for a few seconds. Then someone walked out of the storage room, and it was Bobby. Boo Boo Bear? How did you get here? Lori asked in surprise. Hey, babe, I was here with your permission from your parents. They said that I could surprise you. So I did, Bobby replied. As he walked out of the storage room, Ronnie Ann was gonna come and join me, but she had some stuff going on back in the city. It's all good, Bobby, so how's it going? Lori asked. Nothing much. I'm just about to feed the horses dinner. Wanna help me? Bobby asked with a question. Well, it sounds like a plan. We just finished sweeping the stables, Lori said. Then she, along with Lenny, Luna, and Luann, began to help Bobby feeding the horses in the stable. When Luna approached Elsa in her stall, she looked on how big and huge Elsa's tummy was getting. So she approached the mare slowly and placed her hand on the mare's stomach. Dudes, you need to come here, Luna quietly called, without startling the horse. Bobby, Lori, Lenny, and Luann showed up, confused and wondered if Luna was okay. Is everything okay? Luann asked. You should all feel this. I think the foal just moved, Luna said. Her sisters and Bobby took turns feeling Elsa's stomach. Sure enough, they felt movement inside. We all felt our siblings move when our mom was pregnant, and this is no different, Lori said. Except this is a horse, of course, Luann said, as she chuckled at her pun, not laughing too loud to scare the horse. Keep the voices down, Lori reminded Luann. She sure looks like the baby could come any day now, Luna said. Then Lori looked at the time on her phone. You guys, it's almost time for a ride lesson. We gotta give Elsa some space and get the horses we've been assigned ready to ride, Lori said to her sisters. Okay, come on, dudes, Luna said. As everyone walked out of Elsa's stall, as Luann turned to look at Elsa just before leaving the stall. We're excited to meet your new foal soon, Luann said to Elsa before leaving the stall. When dinner was served at 6 p.m., the Louds were all at the dinner table, eating spaghetti with garlic bread and more. So what do you all think of the farm I bought? Lynn Sr. asked. It's amazing so far, Dad. Thanks to Lori for picking the lucky numbers, Lincoln said. It was very surprising that we won, but it was all literally worth it, Lori replied. Who's keeping an eye on Elsa? Lynn Jr. asked. Martha is. She ate dinner already and is keeping an eye on her. She does know that we all want to watch the foal being born, so she'll let us know when Elsa's having the foal, Rita answered. We could all come up with names for the foal. We'll write them all down and decide from there, Lana suggested. That's a great idea, dudes. We'll pick names for boys and girls, Luna added. Yeah, and since we don't know what the gender of the foal will be, it could either be a colt or a filly, Lori said. After dinner, you kids and Bobby can decide on names, Lynn Sr. piped in. Then the Louds and Bobby continued to eat their dinner. When nightfall came to the Loud farm, Lana was watching Elsa with Luna. Luna was coming up with a song for the foal, but she was having a hard time trying to think of one. We need to have a head to bed soon, dudes, Luna said to Lana. I know, but we don't want to miss the foal being born, Lana said, a bit impatient. According to my research on my book on horses, it says that most foals are born in the late hours of the night and or sometimes in the very early hours of the morning, Luna replied. But Marfa says that she'll keep an eye on Elsa and will alert us as soon as possible. As Luna sat down beside Lana, the younger sister was wondering what Luna was doing. What are you doing with that guitar and paper? Lana asked. I'm trying to write the song for the foal, but I'm stumped on what I want the song to sound like, Luna said, feeling stumped. Well, I'm sure you'll figure something, Lana said, as they turned to see Marfa sleeping on the couch in the nearby stable. Luna walked out of the barn as Lana was the last one to leave. She forgot to shut Elsa's stall door, and not only that, but Lana also forgot to shut the barn door while walking out. So in the middle of the night, Elsa looked to see that her stall door was open, and so was the barn door. The mare walked out of her stall and headed towards the front door of the barn, then walked away from the barn property. No one has ever seen that the stall door and the barn weren't closed, and they didn't see that Elsa had gotten out. When it was around 6 a.m. in the morning, Lori along with Lenny and Luna were up to check on Elsa. They wondered if the foal was born while they were sleeping, but they peered outside Elsa's stall, but the horse wasn't there. Elsa's gone, dudes, Luna said. What could have happened last night? Lenny asked. Someone must have literally forgot to shut their stall door, which explains why must have forgotten to shut the barn door and wonder why it was open when we got up, Lori replied. Lana was with me last night, and she was the last one out. She must have forgotten to shut the stall and barn door. Oh man, this is bad, Luna said. Hang on, Luna. We'll get all the family here except for Mom and Dad, Lori suggested. Why not tell Mom and Dad? Lenny asked. They could help us. No, I don't want them to worry. Maybe we can all find Elsa ourselves, Lori said. A half an hour later, she and the rest of the Loud siblings, along with Bobby, were in the stable. So Elsa left the barn last night? Lynn Jr. asked. Yes, and it's my fault, Lana exclaimed in confession, which caught her siblings and Bobby's attention. What do you mean by it's your fault? Lincoln asked. I forgot to shut Elsa's door last night, and I also forgot to shut the barn door last night as well, Lana said, acting like if she was going to have a breakdown. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Lana, we need to calm down here. A breakdown isn't going to help, Lynn said. Lynn's right. It's not your fault. We just gotta see where Elsa can be. Hopefully she hasn't gone too far, Lincoln said. I think we should look around this barn. Elsa might have not gone out the barn, Lisa suggested. Everyone looked and checked around the places inside the barn for Elsa, but after looking for some time, they still haven't found her. We haven't found her, so she's not in this barn, Bobby said. How about we look in the pastures, dude? We haven't looked outside. Maybe she's in the pastures. It's worth a look, Luna suggested. Then she, along with her siblings and Bobby, headed out of the barn and towards the pastures. While they were down by the pastures, they couldn't find her anywhere on the property. She must have gone off of our property. Maybe we should tell Mom and Dad and Martha and ask them for help, Lincoln said, but before being held back by Lori. Lincoln, we're going to find Elsa ourselves. Mom, Dad, and Martha will worry if we tell them. So we gotta get Elsa back here. Who knows where she could be, Lori stated. Your dad got the trailer attached to a truck. I could drive that if you could drive Vanzilla, Bobby suggested, which was a great plan. Bobby got on a truck attached to a trailer while Lori and her siblings got inside Vanzilla. Would our parents and Martha worry about us? Lucy asked. Yeah, but I'll leave him a text message, Lori replied as she texted Martha along with Rita and Lynn Sr. about what was going on. Then they headed out of the farm property and headed down the country road with Bobby. When they drove for about a good 5 minutes, everyone looked around for Elsa in the fields of the countryside. I don't see Elsa anywhere. I sure hope she's okay, Luann said. She's gotta be here somewhere, Lainey added. Siblings, I think I have found a way to help us find Elsa, Lisa announced. She then held up an invention. This is a horse tracker device. It will help us find Elsa. I put a DNA sample of hers in this device, and it will start making beeping sounds when she's nearby. I tested it out last night on a horse, and it works super well. This device will surely help us, Lori said. Lisa, you're a genius. Hey, there's a horse farm. Maybe she's in there. Lola pointed out a huge luxury farm. I guess we could see if she's in there, but I don't know if they have her, Lincoln said. Bobby parked on the side of the road along with Lori, and they all approached a large luxury farm. Hey there, fam. What's up? A farmer asked. Hello, we're so sorry to barge in the farm at the time like this, but we have an emergency, Lynn Jr. replied. Have you ever seen this bay quarter-horse mare? She's pregnant and looks like this, Lori added as she showed the farmer woman a picture of Elsa on her phone. We do have horses, but I don't think we have a pregnant one. But feel free to look around, the farmer woman said. Then the Louds along with Bobby had a look around at the farm. As they were looking around, Lori saw that Lana was in a mud puddle. Lana, we can't get too dirty right now. We have to stay on task, Lori scolded as she pulled Lana away from the mud puddle. Aw, come on, I like the best stuff, Lana whined. Inside the barn, Bobby, along with the rest of the Louds, were still looking around. Lynn Jr. was talking to a Shetland pony just to keep him company when Lincoln found her. Lynn, what are you doing? That's not Elsa, Lincoln said. I know, Lincoln. I'm just hanging out with this guy, Lynn Jr. said before she walked out of the stall and searched the luxury farm. Within 15 minutes, the Louds and Bobby had no luck finding Elsa. Still haven't found her, Luna said. Well, she's not here, so we'll have to keep looking, Lisa said, before the Louds and Bobby headed back towards their vehicles and headed down the road towards a town not far from Royal Woods. The town that they were in was called Meadow Lane Creek. The Louds and Bobby parked by a nearby restaurant called Tony's Bar and Grill, where they headed inside to search for Elsa. I don't think we're going to find Elsa in there, or a horse in there, Lucy said. We're having lunch, Lucy. I'm starving, Lori stated. I guess a lunch break wouldn't hurt. And then the search is on again, Luann said, then cracked a laugh. Meanwhile, at the farmhouse, Lynn Sr. was with Rita, Martha and Lillian with in the barn. They all had been alerted that Elsa went missing, and they did get Lori's text message regarding where the kids are. I'm worried about Elsa right now. What if something bad has happened to her? Lynn Sr. said dramatically. Now, Lynn, I'm sure Elsa is fine. I do hope the kids will find her. I just know it, Rita reassured her husband. I'll contact everyone you all know about Elsa, and then I'll search around the farmlands, Martha said. Thanks so much, Martha. You're like a lifesaver, Lynn Sr. said. Since Elsa could have fallen any day now, Lynn, why not get her stall ready with straw as bedding? Rita said. Sounds like a plan. The vet said to do that when she talked to me yesterday, Lynn Sr. replied. Back at Meadow Lane Creek, the Louds and Bobby had finished eating lunch at Tony's Bar and Grill. They headed back towards their vehicles and drove out to a nearby country road, where they pulled onto the side of the road before jumping out. Once they were out of their vehicles near the left side, then Lisa found some hoof prints in the dirt. I think we have found the horse we're looking for, Lisa said, as she grabbed her horse tracking device and examined the hoof print. What does it say, dude? Luna asked. It says that it's from a mare, so it must be Elsa's, Lisa said. Let's follow the hoof prints. Elsa's gotta be close, Lori said. Then she and Bobby led the rest of the Louds down the path. After a few minutes of following the hoof prints, they went right to a nearby ditch made of mud. These hoof prints lead into the mud here, dudes, Lana said. Prepare for a muddy situation. Get it? Ha ha ha! Luann laughed. We're going in, but let's try not to get stuck, Lori sighed as everyone went through the muddy path. While walking in the mud, Lana could hear noise in the distance, and it sounded like circus music. I hear something, you guys, Lana said. What is it that you hear, Lana? Is it Elsa? Lola asked. No, it sounds like music. Circus music, Lana replied, as she and the rest of her siblings and Bobby walked towards the bushes. They slowly walked out of the bushes and they could see a circus going on in the fields. A circus! Man, that's so swell! Luann said her pun with a giggle. Least Elsa might be in the circus. Come on, gang, let's move, Lori instructed as she, Bobby, and the rest of the Louds siblings followed Lori out of the forest with the muddy path. That circus might have Elsa in there, so let's head in there and look for her, Bobby said. Good plan, Boo Boo Bear, and maybe we'll ask people in there if they've seen her, Lori added as they headed towards the circus.